I pressed go live. And it seems like, yes, meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Now let me check in here. Anytime soon. And yes, we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's Ana Bautista here, your confidence and empowerment coach. And today we are in episode 3 of Thrive After Trauma TV. And I have the amazing Lisa Wolfe with me here. Yay!
Hi, good evening. Hello.
So, thanks to Lisa and our chat a couple of weeks ago, nearly 2 months ago, a couple of weeks, nearly 2 months ago. After our chat, I sat down to myself and I thought, you know what? I've been called to do this for a while. I have to go in. I have to start doing this. And that's when I put it out there. And, you know, it was just the beginning of hopefully something much bigger. So I'm going to give a little bit of introduction of Lisa, and I'm going to let her talk about her experiences. And she's a mindset and trauma release coach. And she helps people from all walks of life to rewire their mind, to overcome unspecified, unresolved, and unhealed trauma and PTSD, so that they can move forward and take back control over their lives. And she will be sharing with us. She will be talking about her experiences working with children, young people, and adults, and of course, in particularly women, just like you and I, as well as her own experience of trauma following operational service, bereavement, divorce, and financial stress. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
So good to have you. Yeah, I'm so excited.
I'm really excited about this. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, it is going to be amazing. So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'd like for the intention behind these interviews for me was to feature people from all walks of life, from different backgrounds, from different experiences, and to showcase how, even though we've all gone through different experiences, different experiences, we can still thrive. And of course, I want Lisa to share her a bit about herself, her story, and how she got to where she is now. And can you tell us a little bit, you know, about yourself, and of course, how you got here where you are now?
Of course, absolutely. It'd be my pleasure to. Okay, so I guess up to about 17 years old, my life and my childhood was seemingly normal. Average dance lessons, nice family, lived on a seaside or lived in a seaside resort. Everything was absolutely fine. At 17 and a half, my life took a bit of a turn, and I decided that I needed to escape that small seaside town for a variety of reasons, and decided to move and go and join the Air Force. As you do.
As you do. Randomly join the Air Force.
Yeah, as you do. And it was literally a case of, is the Air Force going to get to me first, or is the Army going to get to me first? Because I actually applied to both. And it was a close run thing, but the Air Force got to me first. So inside of 6 weeks, I had left home and gone to do my basic training. Yeah, my mum was still reeling from this. So for 14 years, I served in the numerous different places all over the world. I had lots and lots of different challenges, lots and lots of different roles, and I absolutely adored it. I'll preface that with one of my very good friends who I mentioned to you before, Anna, had joined the Air Force as, I guess, a soldier in the RAF regiment, and had served in the Gulf War, 1991. And he left shortly thereafter. I stayed in, he left shortly thereafter, and he went to work or train as a mental health nurse at Leeds, at Jimmy's, which is a kind of world-renowned hospital. Unfortunately, not long before he actually completed his training, he actually took his own life. And he was one of the first to, I guess, almost be recognised as a casualty of that hidden illness we don't see, which we now know as PTSD. So that kind of informed me on what I was going to do moving forward. So I retrained, I did my degree in psychology whilst I was serving and operational, which is what you do.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Bring it on, bring it on. So that's exactly what I did. And I then set my life's work to help people and to support people from not being in that position ever again. So my life continued until I retired in 2003 after having my son, who was born the year previous. And everything was absolutely fine. And then during my life at that point, somebody almost got hold of the rug and just pulled it out from underneath my feet. And in a very short space of time, I left my career. I'd had a new child. My mum was diagnosed and succumbed to cancer, a very aggressive form of cancer, very quickly. My family, my immediate family, completely disintegrated, and everything changed. I went through divorce, bereavement, moving house, financial stress, the whole, anything that you could have possibly
was just
had
like
happen. And at that point, and I'm sure other people will resonate with this, at that point, you literally just keep going. You don't even think about it. You just keep going. So
as if you don't have a choice. It's just like you push through somehow, you bury everything. And I've experienced this myself. You bury everything underneath, and I'm going to deal with it sometime.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if I try to deal with it now, I'm going to fall apart. That's how it felt for me.
Yeah, exactly.
At some time.
And when you have all of these things happening in fairly quick succession, you haven't recovered from the last situation or challenge before you hit the next one. And sometimes years can pass. And it actually took me probably 7 to 8 years after all of that stopped before I thought, oh my word, how do I feel about this? You know, what have I overcome? And people even now turn around and say to me, how did you get through that? And the very simple answer is,
I have no idea.
I have no clue. I just know that I did. And I know that one of the saving graces for me right in those very early days was my son, who is now 17 and a half. And he's my world. He for a very, very long time was my driving force and still is. But now he's almost driving me. He's 17 and a half. He certainly knows his own mind. And, you know, he's the very epitome of survival, of that resilience, because he lived through all of that with me. And I look at him every day and think, wow, okay. So
you've been on a journey
right.
together.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things which is important when you're going through something which is so difficult, is finding that one thing that will keep you going.
Yes, exactly. And
I remember, sorry to interrupt you, but I remember when my dad passed away, I felt like my family will fall apart. Like I felt like I was going to fall apart. There was just like this huge surge of emotion, and just like you don't know how to deal with it. And I thought to myself, how are we going to get through this? And I just felt like, okay, you know, my family needs me. If I'm not here, if I'm not well, what's going to happen to my family? And exactly. I think whenever you're going through that, through those moments, you just think about, okay, you just have to think about that there is someone who cares about you, that loves you, that needs you in a way that not necessarily needs you, when it's in terms of kids. Yes, they are, you know, you're responsible for them, they depend on you, but then also thinking about that, reminding yourself that this is just temporary, you know, temporary. It's not end all be all, like it's not end of life, even though at that time it might feel like, you know, like it's end of everything and you can't you have no idea how you're going to go through it. And I think it's very important to emphasize here, if you're going through something like that right now, if you are in that situation, I promise you there is an end, and there is a life after this, and there is hope, and you can survive this. You know, you don't need
Exactly.
anyone else. You are enough for yourself to go through this, and just take that one step at a time. And I tell you, it's gonna get a lot easier.
It is. And you know, you're absolutely right. And I mean, the metaphor or the explanation I normally use is you have to go through it. No amount of input, medication, or anything like that is going to stop you from feeling that intense loss, grief, bereavement, whatever. It's something you have to do, and you need support around you to do that.
Yes.
The difficulty comes when your support network, i.e. parents or, you know, a loved one, is the one person that would have given you that support unconditionally. They're the one that's not there anymore. And that becomes a real challenge. But ultimately, you're right, we have everything inside of us to provide the answers, but sometimes it gets buried so deep under this, that, something else that we can't find it. We can't actually see up. We are buried.
Yes.
And that's the challenge. It's to rise out of all of that.
And I want to mention here, there are charities that provide help for those who are struggling. So if you just Google, you know, some kind of support, you'll find it. There are coaches, healers, therapists like me and Lisa who work with people who have gone through that. If you go to your GP, they might be able to refer you to your local mental health services. So if you are struggling, there is help out there. There's varied help out there. So if you're currently going through something like that, ask for help. And of course, I will be including links to how you can connect with Lisa, how you can connect with me, if you feel like one of us can help you in the situation. But there will be links posted in the comments and in the thread of, you know, in the description of the video once we are done. So I just want to mention that you ask for support if it's becoming too much.
Yeah, and that is sometimes the first step to recovery, because it's recognizing that actually I can't do this myself.
And you shouldn't.
Correct. Exactly.
You shouldn't. You know, nobody. You know, there is. You have everything inside of you to go through it yourself, but you shouldn't. You know, no. It's much easier when you have that support network to, you know, help you get through the tough times.
Of course. And you mentioned there about mental health teams, and they do a fantastic job, but they are so under-resourced and overworked that my colleagues are literally drowning in referrals. I mean, we work, although we're a private organisation, we work with referrals from mental health teams, whether that's child mental health or adult mental health, and we also get those private referrals too. And it's always interesting that sometimes it takes people such a long time to reach out, that had they have reached out a little while ago, they maybe wouldn't be so buried. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's recognizing that actually, do you know what, this is the point that I need help. But I have a saying that I use. I have two actually. One is that significant trauma and PTSD is not a life sentence. And the second one is that when you are ready, because no amount of people trying to cajole you to talk about things or to deal with things is actually going to speed up that process. You have to be ready. And you know that we've discussed that.
Oh yes, we've discussed that. I remember, you know, I went to therapy for loads of different things during my like teenage years. I went through therapy, and after I was diagnosed with diabetes, but I never managed to sort out the trauma that I experienced as emotional abuse from my father. And I was only able to, and that's like 10 years that like 10 years after, I was only able to release this when I actually told myself, you know what, I've got to let this go. I have to heal from this fully. And then I went to NLP training, and this is where, for me, the biggest transformation happened, because I let go and I actually said, I release you. I'm done. I'm done. Help me to get this done. And you raise a really important question. A really important thing is that sometimes mental health services are really, really underfunded, overwhelmed. And I was personally lucky when I reached out to help for my postnatal depression, that it was within the first year. So they had to book me in within the 28 days as I was a new mom.
Yes.
But I know that there is a huge waiting list. And I think that's one of my motivating forces for me, is to work on this. And I bet, you're feeling the same, because by the time that someone reaches, help on the NHS, it might be just like too late.
And this is it. And I mean, it can, unfortunately, depending on where you are and the services that are provided, it can take anything up to 18 months to 2 years to actually get that initial referral address. Well, for some people, that's far, far, far too long.
Yes.
And that help is needed right now.
I agree. I'm just checking if there are any comments, because I would love to. Okay, yeah. It's Tatiana saying hi. Thank you, Tatiana, for watching with us. And I'm just mindful of the comments, because I want for us to answer if there are any comments, and questions, to answer those, so we don't, miss anything. So tell me, who's your ideal client? Because I'd love to, we all work, as I say, we all work helping people get better, but of course we all choose different people, work with, different ideal clients, and we relate to different.
Exactly. And I've struggled with this. In fact, no, struggled isn't the right word. I'm going to get shouted at for using that. I have thought long and hard about who my ideal client is. And the best answer I can provide is that the work that I do and that my team do is actually mission driven. It's about being visible and vocal enough that our message and what we do reaches as many people as possible. Because we work, our client base is children as young as 3, and our oldest client is 93 years old. Well, to pick out one particular demographic from that is very challenging. So how I've kind of channeled that is actually by increasing the message, increasing the visibility of what we do, and doing more things like this where actually people know what we do.
Yes.
So if anything that we're saying is resonating, or anybody who it would resonate with, then actually that's who I need to speak to, who we can say, this is what we do. Is this something that you are ready now to come through the process with?
So I'd love to, and this is where I want you to, and you've already touched on something that I wanted to talk about. You've already touched on why are you so passionate about like working with people that you do. But can you just explain a little bit of how you actually help your ideal clients? What are your qualifications? Because I think it's also very important to emphasize the amazing work that you've done, all the qualifications that you have. And because I was like, when we had the conversation, I was saying, why the heck, and I didn't use that word, why the heck are you not shouting about this? And why aren't you saying and emphasizing this? Because it's very important to, for some people, the qualifications will be important, but just like, as you say, like you've gone through years of experience. And I remember you mentioning something about the tattoos. So if you can say, if you don't mind sharing that, if that's okay with you, please share.
Of course. So I guess, professionally speaking, I hold a degree in psychology. I've got a university diploma in cognitive behavioral science. I studied for a HBD in clinical hypnosis and psychotherapy. And along the way, I've picked up, I guess, further training, CPD, in all kinds of different mind tools. The one thing I haven't got is a qualification in NLP, but that will soon be remedied. But, you know, you're absolutely right. When we deal with the organisations that we do, those qualifications are really important because that's what they look for. They're looking for that clinical expertise, which is what all of that alphabet soup essentially means. However, when you've lived through something and you have that lived experience, that is equally as powerful as any academic qualifications, because in order for it to be effective, you have to marry the two together. They have to balance out. So you have to be able to be relatable, be passionate, but be clinical at the same time. And to have all of that put together in one parcel is something that somebody keeps slapping me around the head with and saying, actually, you need to be vocal about this because it's important. I've spent the last 20 odd years gathering this experience and these qualifications, and it's important and it's vital because that's actually what people come to me for. That understanding that I have that knowledge, that I have those qualifications, and I've lived it.
Yes. And I think you raise a really important point in here. There was a point in my life where I thought, okay, all this trauma that I've gone through, I know that I can help people who have gone through similar experiences. And it made me, my experiences made me passionate about, like, really motivated to do this because, you know, I didn't want anyone else to go through what I went through and suffer for as long as I did. And there was a point where I was thinking to myself, you know, but the experience is just not enough. And I told myself, okay, I need a qualification because I wanted additional tools because, as you say, you have to marry those things together. And that's why I went for NLP and timeline therapy, because I wanted the tools or techniques to marry all that up. And I think those experiences, and I think if you work with one-to-one clients in personal development world, I think the experience is one of the most powerful things that you can talk about. And I think it's, if I had to single out, like for me personally, all those qualifications won't mean as much on if I don't feel like the person who is on the other hand helping me understands where I've been. Unless they understand my problems, unless they've I don't know, just like gone through something similar or empathize. And sometimes you don't even have to go through the same experience. It's just like you've gone through trauma, even though it's not the same experience, you can still empathize with someone who has gone through something different. Because you relate to the feelings.
Yes, exactly. And our journey through trauma is very personal because everybody will feel differently. Even if you are if you experience the same traumatic experience as somebody else, at the same time, you will both perhaps develop different feelings about it and different challenges around that. So it is a very, very personal journey, but it's a journey nonetheless. And this is what needs to be understood. I'm going to say something really controversial here. The time for us to deal with trauma and PTSD and significant trauma with a one-size-fits-all has gone. We cannot fit somebody's trauma to a list of symptoms and expect the treatment to work. Because
you do not, you do not treat the symptoms.
No.
You do not treat the symptoms, you treat the cause, you treat the root cause. And last year I went through CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, with a therapist for my postnatal depression. And this is, she said, like, okay, we're going to work on the root cause, and, you know, but unfortunately for me, in the time that we had together, we didn't work on the root cause. And for me, when with the NLP and timeline therapy, we didn't dig in. That's the thing. I don't like to dig in and all the reasons. I just want to go deep, treat the root cause, heal from it, and move forward, because you don't want to be reliving all that stuff all over again, because you're not going to move forward. You've done that all your life so far.
Yeah.
You know, you've done that for a very long time. We don't need to do that any longer.
Exactly. And there's 2 points that I think are extremely valuable in what you've just said there. Invariably with NHS treatment, it's time limited.
Yes.
So it could be 6 weeks, and as you've already experienced, that 6 weeks isn't always sufficient time to get to the bottom, to heal. The other thing is, we do not, or I certainly do not, subscribe to what I would call emotional archaeology. When we trawl through and dig up and reconfirm those fear patterns and those limiting beliefs, all we're doing is making them even more entrenched in our onboard computers, in our brains. No, we don't need to do that. Our physical responses and how our nervous system is responding is enough to tell us it's there. That's what we need to repair, not dig around and create an even more confirmed pattern.
I totally agree.
You know,
Tatiana has a question.
Oh, go on.
So, what was the point of change for both of you when you realized you wanted to change that trauma into something positive? As lots of people struggle with that, as it's so easy to slip into the past following as a shadow and have an immense impact on the now and future. Yeah, that's true. Would you like to share?
Yeah, for me, I guess it wasn't a kind of a light bulb moment in any way, shape or form. It was something that I realized over time that actually it was what I was passionate about. I mentioned my friend, my really good friend who I lost. So that was one defining moment. I then did some training and gathered that experience, which gave me an idea of what it was I wanted to do. And I realized it wasn't pure psychology I wanted to do, it's actually human behavior. So the more I was around people, the more I worked with people, the more it became very clear that that was actually what I needed to do and what I was being called to do. The working with children was almost something that I fell into kind of 2 or 3 years ago. But I guess it's been a slow burn. It's been very much, yes, that's what I want to do. And the defining moment for me, Tatiana, was when I realized that even if I tried to pull away from it, I got brought straight back. So to me, that is, whatever you want to call it, that divine power, that universe, whatever, it's actually somebody going, do you know what? This is actually what you need to be doing.
Yes. And you have that, there is something deep inside of you telling you, you know, like you are not your suffering and you are not, there is more to life than what you're currently experiencing. And in my case, I just got fed up of living and that being my reality, constantly falling into that pattern of, oh God, goodness, I am my trauma, I am this because I went through this. No. I got fed up with the story. And this is the thing, I just got fed up with the story of being stuck, unable to move forward. And for me, it was like, whenever I wanted to do something in my business, I felt like, oh, but your trauma, come back, you know, let me pull you back. You're not capable of doing this. Let me pull you back. That was my inner voice. And I just got fed up of being pulled back and unable to move forward, unable to, you know, achieve something in my life, because there's always this thing stopping me, like a huge shadow over my head, and just like, you know, shackled. I was shackled by it, and I couldn't move forward. And I was fed up. Because I knew that, you know, I could see other people thriving. I could see that it's possible, you know, for other people. Why wouldn't it be possible for me? So if others have done it, I want to do it myself. And, you know, just like if you have that small seed, I call it, of hope, and calling you, something bigger calling you to move forward and to create a different life for yourself, hold on to it. That's your, like, hold on to it and take the first step, ask for help, because at the end of the day, the first step is asking for help. And it doesn't have to take years.
No, it doesn't have to take years, but I mean, I sometimes see clients that are being quite hard on themselves, saying, oh, it's taken me 10 years to get here, I didn't realize I had a problem. But my explanation to that is, but you weren't ready. And it has to be when you are ready, because although it is a simple process, it is no mean feat. It is by no means easy. It's simple, but not easy. And it could resurface things that you have almost forgotten about. But when we link them together, or the mind links them all together, we end up with quite a cesspool of things we don't want to remember. And that's what we need to release. That's what we need to clear out, for want of a better word. We can never forget it. We can never.
No. You never forget this. It doesn't just magically become erased from your life. It becomes simply an event in your life, not like this huge thing. It becomes one of the things, not overarching the main thing of your main thread of your life.
This is it. And sometimes people are defined because they have felt that way for so long. They are defined by it, and it's scary to step outside of the cage, the box, the shackles, whatever you want to call it, to be different. But that's great.
Try something different. Exactly. And for me, that was the case. I was identifying myself as a trauma. I was saying, I am my trauma. I am what I went through. And that's not the case, and I know that it can be scary to step out. Okay, wow, what is else than possible for me? But, you just go and enjoy whatever is possible for you, because you will finally be free from it.
What the life that we live and the life that we have is not a dress rehearsal. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know anybody that's come back round again. So we have to grasp life with both hands, regardless of and despite of what may have happened for us in our past, because it happens for us to allow us to grow. If we've never been challenged, or we've never had to face an extreme fear, or we've never had to develop in a way where we've needed to build those resources to overcome something, how on earth do we know what we are capable of?
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Yes. And there is a one point that I want to pick up on. You said recovering from trauma, something like that, is not easy. And I just want to point out something. I think it's very important to switch that it can be easy. It can be easy because, and this is what I've learned from through NLP and timeline therapy, is that it's very important what you tell yourself. And this is what I was telling myself. Oh, it's going to take me years. And if you tell yourself it's going to take years, it's going to take years. If you tell yourself, but I am my trauma, you will be your trauma. If you tell yourself it's not easy, it's not going to be easy. So what I usually tell my clients, tell people who want to work with me, is tell yourself that it can be easy, because I witnessed it myself. I was the biggest doubter during our NLP course. And when the timeline therapy, and just before we did the timeline therapy, the amazing Lenka Lutonska said, Anna, do you want to do the first session? And I said, okay. And we were clearing anger, a negative emotion, which was anger. And up until that point, I was so doubtful that I will actually be able to release that anger. But then I told myself, as I sat in that chair, I told myself, you know what? I'm just going to surrender to that feeling, to that process, and I'll accept whatever happens. And this is the thing. If you make it easy, if you say, okay, this can be easy, I'm just going to surrender to it, then it's going to be easy. And for me, it was just like that. And before that, I was like, when I thought about a certain thing, I felt so like overwhelmed and everything. And after that, it's like, where is anger now? And I was laughing. I was like, what anger? Like, and it can be easy.
Exactly. And
quick.
I guess,
as you allow yourself, yourself to.
And I think that's the point, or that's the clarity that we need to have. When we release something, we do have to surrender to it. It can be quick, but when I say it isn't always easy, I don't mean it's going to take years. What I mean is that sometimes we can stumble across it because we simply don't know.
Yes,
we are capable of.
Oh yes. True that. Definitely.
Yeah, and
but I definitely wanted to clarify for someone who is still new to this. I just wanted to say that it can be as quick as that. When you say I'm ready, and when you go there and sit in that chair and you work with your coach or a therapist or whatever, and you say, you know what, it can be easy. I'm ready. It can be as quick as that.
Yeah.
As quick as that.
And that's the thing, isn't it? And when we change how we think about something, we already know what we think we create. So if we change the thought, we change what happens.
Yes, exactly. Everything else follows.
Absolutely.
It's just like it's like a domino effect, and just like tumbles forward. And Tatiana saying, so would you say that traumatic experience helped you to be the incredible, inspiring women you are today? So sweet of you, Tatiana.
Yeah, because whatever happens for us happens for us. It doesn't. It's not there to take us down. It's there to make us the people that we are. Mm-hmm. And I think when you take a hold of that and you appreciate that and you understand what you've actually overcome to get to this point.
How amazing is that? Like,
and we're living proof that it isn't a life sentence.
Yes, exactly. There will be people who think, oh, but I can't, there are so much blah, blah, blah. Like they will put something in there because that's how I thought to myself, but this is not possible for me. They're so much different. We are not different from each other. Like what was possible for me, for Lisa, and for other people that I'm hoping to interview and feature, I know this is possible for you too. So
yes.
There's nothing different. It's just that we need to ask for help and, get over this, and we will get better.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I've worked with some really intense, what I would call special operators. These are men and women who have done lots and lots of really intense things, and if they can face and overcome, and I'm talking 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide, that these kind of special people that do a specific job, if they can come to terms with that, and if they can break down and break through that, then we all can.
Yes,
we all can.
I'd love for you to, if you can give me a couple of nuggets of what actually helped you go through that. Like you mentioned, like keeping your son, like your son was your guiding force. Was there anything else?
I guess.
So if someone asked you, oh, how do you get through this? Like, even if those were like insignificant, small details, I won't say insignificant, but someone might think, oh, that's just it. But like, it might be a small thing. And, like those are actually the small things that actually help you go through it, right?
Absolutely. And it's recreating these building blocks that actually rebuild us or allow us to launch ourselves forward. So for me, you said the word simple things there, yet just breathing and just trusting and learning to trust again, and realizing that you can't do everything yourself, that you can reach out and it's okay to do that. And to just be a little kind to yourself. And by that, I mean, if you are on your own. So, for example, for me, I went through divorce, moved counties, set up my own business somewhere completely different, it's okay for it not to be okay. It's okay for you to be tearing your hair out or really struggling, because that's actually part of the process too. Yeah. So that's one thing. And you know, I'm fortunate now. I am surrounded by people who love me. I've got a new partner, my son, you know, my extended family, the family that I have now found and created. And it's about reaching out to other people. So I guess the little nuggets are: be kind to yourself. Understand that it's okay to feel emotionally distraught or overwhelmed. That's part of the process. You're not doing anything wrong. That's something you have to go through. Yeah. And appreciate the day that you don't feel that. Accept that and be grateful for that. And gratitude is also another big thing. Be grateful for what you have got and what you have had. So if you've lost a parent, as we did, or be grateful for the time that you had, not what you perceive to have lost.
Yes, yes.
Likewise, you know, I mean, with divorce, we grieve for all of the things that we thought we were going to have within that relationship and within that marriage. That's okay. But think about what you had, not
yes,
what you lost.
Yeah. So I talked about this. I'm in no way a specialist on grief, and I know there's this lady who works with people who, you know, who are grieving and everything. But there's I talked about grief when you make a really huge life-changing decision, and even though that decision is what you wanted, and for that example can be moving away from like all across the world or somewhere else, leaving your partner, getting a divorce. It's just like you experience grief, and if you're experiencing grief, you're most probably focusing on what you have lost, what is no longer there, or grieving for what could have happened and now you don't have. And I think the way through that is focusing, okay, when you made some decision like that, is to focus on why you made that decision. You know, what are you getting out of this? You focus on the positives, the good things in your life that you have right now. And I think that's one of the really important points in here, is that, and this is what I wanted to mention. You mentioned appreciate the day when you don't feel like shit. So appreciate the day when you don't feel horrible, and don't feel guilty about it, because I know we can slip into that. Oh, but I'm not supposed to be happy. Like, I'm supposed to be grieving. That's one thing. You're not, like, you're supposed to recover. So on the day that you feel well, appreciate that you're feeling well and that you're feeling okay, or that something was really good that day. Don't feel guilty for laughing, for being happy, for, you know, actually moving forward. Yes, because guilt can be huge in these. And you know, I'm not sure if you've experienced, but I have. And I know like a lot of, and you're going to be asking yourself, oh, why did this happen to me? And why me? And what have I done wrong? You haven't done anything wrong.
No. And equally, you know, I mean, certainly in some of the cases or the clients that I've seen, you know, there is a lot of guilt around them being the survivor.
Oh, yes.
Where do you go with that? You know, you survived.
You survived,
You survived.
For whatever reason, and you might not know the reason why now, and you might not know or find like that clarity right now, but it will come to you. You know, like it will come to you. When I say, I'm not happy that I had to go through what I went through, but it made me so much stronger. There was no way that I would be doing this right now if I hadn't gone through those experiences. And how many people are there out there suffering? So I think to myself, okay, if I have gone through this experience and I'm using it to help others and teach others,
Yeah.
So they don't have to go through that. Maybe, I won't say it was worth it, but like, okay, I accept it. I accept it. Yeah, it was part of like preparing me for something bigger.
Exactly. And I mean, in some of the conversations I've had with people, I have been overheard to say, allow me to use my blood, sweat and tears. Do you maybe don't have as many?
Yeah.
Because we all deal with things in very different ways. I'm not a crier. I'm not a crier at all. Excuse me, my lights have gone out. Just bear with me a second.
Yes, of course. Go on.
We've always been sat here a while. So I'm not a crier, but I would show my feelings in a very different way, and everybody is different. So we need to understand ourselves and what we do and how that limits us, allegedly, and what we can do to demonstrate how we're feeling. And sometimes it's the non-verbal communication that's really important. And when you're surrounded by people that know you too, they know instantly when you're feeling or not feeling great.
Yes.
And this is where, when clients and family members, if we've got anybody that's feeling anxiety or depression, they isolate, they hide away. It's really important that you don't allow them to do that.
Yes.
You have to,
because they go into that spiral. Oh, nobody wants to be around me when I'm in this state of mind. And like, it's you might think that way, but people who are there around you, they really love you, they care about you. So just go there and just being around them. You don't have to talk sometimes. No talking, just like spending time watching TV just makes a difference, because it's a different vibe. You're vibrating at a different level, so it's not like, oh, you don't go into your own thoughts. You like have a casual conversation, which is not about the stuff.
And I mean, just to know that somebody else is sat in the vicinity of you can be really powerful. We haven't been created to be solo. We are created to be amongst other people, to be amongst our people, our tribe, whatever you want to call it. We are not solo animals. That is not who we are. So it's unnatural for us to withdraw and do that. So when we start to see that pattern of behavior in somebody that we love, or somebody that we even know, even a member of a team or in the office, when you start to see that behavior, step up.
Yes, because at the end of the day, we have this kind of responsibility, let's say, like I think in this day and age, everyone is just like this, how do you say it? We're isolating ourselves, we're getting distance. And I think we have to pull in, and we have to like reach out to other people, because I think mental health of young people who are living alone, men, is getting worse and worse. And I think we have the responsibility. And if you feel towards them, of course, we have some kind of a, let's say, human to human responsibility to just ask. And it doesn't cost you anything to ask someone, how are you feeling? But if you see someone struggling, just try to chat about something. It doesn't have to be like how they're feeling, but something just so they don't feel as alone.
Exactly. And I guess one of the most difficult things is that we can't see it. We can't see the negative mental health or negative mental well-being, as I call it. If we had an arm in a sling, we would have hundreds of people saying to us, what have you done? Oh my goodness, how are you? But when we feel down in the dumps and more, when we're going through all of this significant trauma, anxiety, depression, whatever, we can't actually see it. So that's really hard. But we know, because we pick it up on a subconscious level.
Yes. You pick it up. There's something, and you like something is at the back of your mind telling you, there's something. Reach out and just use that and trust your gut, because sometimes, just like we get bogged down with different things, but just trust your intuition. If something is telling you, oh, you know what, there's something off in here, let me reach out. Just use your intuition. Tatiana is saying it isn't a life sentence. Yes, brilliant. It's the willingness to go there to be able to change it, right? Yeah. And we have 3 viewers. I'm so happy.
Hey.
Yes. So I just wanted to, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to ask you, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. I wanted to keep it under an hour, so we're coming to an hour. Would you like to say something that I haven't covered? I will be including the links to your page, and I think you've added another link, so I will be adding that where people can get in touch with you. But if there's anything that you wanted to say, please share.
I think the thing that I want to say is that it isn't a life sentence, and however dark or challenging or unoptimistic it is for you right at this moment in time, that is not what defines you. Things happen for us in our life because that is life. But we owe it to ourselves to live that life. And that is what we need to do. So there is always hope, there's always a solution, and there's always somebody that can reach out and support you while you go through what you need to.
Yeah. Completely agree. Completely agree with you. Thank you very much. It's been my absolute pleasure. I'm just going to check. Okay, there are no further comments. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your golden nuggets. And it's been wonderful to chat with you. I think we could do this for another 2 to 3 hours.
Sure.
I don't know if our viewers would be still here with us, but I think this topic never gets boring for me, and I think it's the same with you. And
it's
thank
too
you.
Important. It's too important to
stay quiet.
Yeah.
To stay quiet. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone, if we've touched on some of the points, or if we have raised some concerns and you're going through an experience that I have touched, or Lisa, please get in touch with us. I will be including the links where you can get in touch with both of us. And I want to mention, whoever is here with us, I am preparing short training in about 2 weeks' time. It will be on how to heal and thrive after trauma. Some of the things that have helped me, I've talked about these. There will be there will be a worksheet, and this will be designed mostly to get you to go deep down and just like get those thoughts out of your head on the paper. And when that's out on the paper and outside of your head, it gets easier to get over with, to move forward. So I will be sharing, and if you're interested, please put a comment in the comments below. And of course, if you're watching this on replay, put #replay. It helps with the reach. It helps, for us, what's really important is that if you know someone who would benefit from watching this video, who would benefit from watching this live and getting in touch with us, please share this with them, because at the end of the day, this is what we're all about. We want to reach as many people who are struggling, so they don't have to struggle in silence on their own, and they can thrive. Create a completely different lives for themselves. So it would really help us if you share this with someone who maybe need help. Sending you lots of love. Bye bye.
Bye bye.